A lot happens in 10 years. Seems like yesterday. Nerlens Noel projected to be the #1 pick, the second coming of Anthony Davis under John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats. Every draft, a couple teams will find their franchise players, some simply falling right into their lap. No better example than 15 pick Giannis accidentally becoming the franchise player for the Milwaukee Bucks. Not even 10 years later, he's already in discussion as top 20 player all time, an unknown athletic wing with physical gifts out of Greece. If it wasn't for his greatness, 2013 class literally up there as worst drafts all time, alongside the horrendous 2000 class with 0 Hall of Famers. I made a recent video on the 2010 class. Only 2 players remain in 2023. A devastating fallout. 3 years from now, we'll see if that number ends up more than 5 for the 2013 draft. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. With many of the players supposed to be in their prime, only one appears to be at his peak, with everybody else either regressed or signed to vet minimums or totally out the league. Starting with the atrocious, pathetic, worst #1 pick of the century, Anthony Bennett. A good trivia question: what year did Bennett last play his final NBA game? If you guessed before 2018, you guessed right. January 5th, 2017. 4 total seasons, 4 different teams, under 40% shooting, an absolute travesty of a player. Still the most surprising #1 pick anyone can remember. Supposed to go anywhere between 3 to 12. The second David Stern called his name, you knew there were concerns. Plus the extra Bill Simmons reaction.
The Cleveland Cavaliers select Anthony Bennett of Toronto, Canada.
Because there was no consensus #1 pick, with Noel recovering from ACL tear, the UNLV's one-year standout, considered a physical specimen, a wide frame, bullied everyone in college, but his draft comparisons nothing too outstanding. Rodney Rogers and Jason Maxiell comparisons, just okay players. The Cavs strongly believe nobody in the draft fit as a starter, already having the backcourts of Kyrie and Dion Waiters. Didn't want to take the safest pick in Vic Oladipo. The atrocious Bennett missed his first 16 shots, failed to overcome adversity, too much pressure, but overall, a victim of the circumstances to his class. Any other draft in recent times, Bennett wouldn't even have been in conversation for #1. Had excellent workouts, undersized power forward, no perimeter skills. Had Anthony not been a #1 pick, likely would have played a couple more years. Can't shoot, simply not a fit for any team, shined away from competition, useless with the terrible Timberwolves. His hometown Raptors gave up after 15 games, 23 games with Brooklyn, and Dunzo, out the NBA by age 23, now overseas in Taiwan. Victor Oladipo #2 pick, who many consider a solid prospect, a poor man's Steve Wade, excellent two-way upside, explosive athlete out of IU, was okay with the Magic, but the incompetent franchise traded him, and their 2016 pick Domantas Sabonis started off an inconsistent shooter, didn't seem like he developed. A second option under Russ in OKC, after a bad playoffs, a throw-in piece for the Paul George trade. Vic credited Russ for making him a better player, gave him extra motivation to get better, became the most improved player 2018, overachieved with 48 win Indy, numbers of over 23 a game, 2.4 steals. The 25-year-old even in borderline top 10 player discussions, 3rd team All-NBA, all defensive first team, improved his shooting, had the killer instinct, combined with the peak athleticism, somewhat established himself as a leader, silenced his critics. After 2018, future seemed bright, but nothing went right. Hasn't played more than 42 games a season since, no more bursts of speed, playing not to injure himself again, doesn't have the body to hold up. The ruptured quad tendon January 23rd ruined his 2019 season. Over a year since coming back, huge setbacks, traded to the Rockets, 20 games later, traded to Miami, but just days into his Heat tenure, a season-ending quad injury, ended up on a 1-year minimum, had his 2022 season debut, nearly 10 months since the injury, all his explosiveness gone, didn't drive as much, fearful of more injuries, 8 regular season games played, 15 playoff contests, still a terrific defender, but lost 80% of his offensive game. Another devastating injury, Game 3 versus the Bucks, this time a torn patella tendon in his left knee, could sadly be the nail in the coffin for his NBA career. Reoccurring knee issues, his 3rd major surgery in 4 years, recently traded to OKC, under contract for next season, likely will never reach his full potential. The 30-year-old could truly be out the league within the next year. Otto Porter Jr., one of the least interesting number 3 picks all time, besides looking like Wilt Chamberlain, made his money but underachieved given the position pick. Another player who struggled with injuries at 6'8", a prototypical 3-and-D, absolutely struggled first couple seasons, viewed a bust until getting the starting spot 2016, a respectable role, never averaged more than 15 points a game, peaked at age 24 in 2018, picked up his $6.3 million option for the 2024 season after a left foot injury, played just 8 games, hasn't been healthy after age 25, his career can seriously end after next season. Even if a little bit of pain bothering him, teams can just fully rest him till fully healthy. Already having made over 134 mil, Golden State able to land him after just 98 games played 3 previous years, a variety of injuries, 15 games with the Bulls 2019 season, averaged 17.5 points, going 39 of 80 from deep. When healthy, a terrific 3-and-D. Started last 3 games 2022 finals vs Boston, but his best days now way behind him. If he can't stay healthy next season, could very well be out the league after 2024. Don't see him sticking around more than 2 years. Just never the same after the back injury. Already proven to have excellent value on a title team. In other typical drafts, Porter Jr. would have been a respectable 6 to 10 pick. Cody Zeller, the 4th pick out of IU, will remain in the league for at least 1 more year. Signed a 1-year $3.2 million deal with New Orleans, a decent backup center, rewarded for guarding Jokic in the finals, was originally out the league for several months until Miami picked him up late February. First 8 seasons in Charlotte, a 9-6 guy, not a bad player when healthy, just drafted way too high. Compared to LaMarcus Aldridge in college, even lacks a jump shot. Super low ceiling, but somehow still better than the 3 guys drafted after him. One thing that's changed most, how he looked with hair compared to now. Similar to Perry Ellis freshman to senior, the soon-to-be 31-year-old probably has another 2 years left, could be longer if he brings the positive attitude to the locker room. Alex Len out of Maryland, even number 1 pick in a couple mock drafts, a traditional center, similar styles to Jonas Valanciunas and Zydrunas Ilgauskas as his ceiling, a journeyman after 5 seasons in Phoenix, 5 different teams last 6 seasons. Career numbers of 7 and 6, barely played with Sacramento, a year remaining in his contract, has the physical tools, solid movement, decent on defense and verticality, but terrible hands, not a good touch around the rim for his size, not the best rebounder for his position. Gets credit for setting hard screens, but non-existent offense, huge disappointment during his son's tenure, fans being patient, held on to false hopes, believing he'd break out to become a 16 and 10 guy, having a reputation around the league with stone hands for a big. Lin would have received more backlash had he been drafted number 1, never made more than $5 million a year, but will have made 41 mil after 2024, the biggest achievement of his career. Next pick, Nerlens Noel. After Bennett selected first, Noel's reaction in disbelief. Had he known 10 years later, his career numbers of 7 and 6, even more disbelief. More like Nerlens not doing so well. Has Dikembe Mutombo shot blocking abilities, limited offense, a good leaper. His ceiling basically Tyson Chandler. Never developed any real offense, only a lob threat, scores mainly on putbacks and dunks, super thin, barely put on weight since coming to the league. Just signed a vet minimum with the Kings for the 24 season, came off 17 total games. Averaged 2 and 3, his last opportunity in the league, literally peaked his 2nd season in Philly, empty stats for the tank process, but the biggest absolute travesty of his career isn't the lack of production, but stupidly turning down 4-year $70 million with Dallas just to settle for 1 year $4 million. Typical journeyman will be on his 7th different team, too traditional, not suited for the modern game, good hands on defense with some nice blocks, but butterfingers on offense. Nobody has a larger discrepancy on both sides of the ball. Not very coordinated, low IQ player, being more athletic than anyone in college when there's way better athletes in the NBA just makes him nothing more than a backup center. His last solid stretch playing under Thibodeau 2021 Knicks, him and draft mate Alex Len will be competing on who lasts longer in the league. Whoever getting more minutes for Sacramento next season might have their careers extended just a little longer. Ben McLemore, 7th pick, unfortunately no longer in the NBA, out of KU, last played with the 22 Blazers, a perfect hand commander, 5 different teams, started out with Sacramento, the last place any rookie wanted to be in the early 2010s, also in discussion for number 1 pick, Some viewed him as a more athletic Ray Allen at 6'5", 195, supposed to have one of the higher ceilings. 4 disappointing Sacramento years, averaged 9.4 points on 42% from the field, good shooting mechanics, but just became an average shooter. His most embarrassing moment, getting his cookies taken by the better Kawhi Leonard in back-to-back possessions. Played passive, weak handles, couldn't ISO well, and a below-average defender. Only had stretches of good games, but never consistent enough. A disgusting career record, 210 and 346 record, seemed to lack self-confidence in his own head. Back with Sacramento a second time only to get waived, found himself out the league in 2019 until the 2020 Rockets picked him up, rejuvenated himself a bit. Got good looks from Harden and Russ, team no more use for him after Harden gone. Signed by the Lakers only to just play okay. Portland 2022, his last NBA season at 29 before taking his talents to China. Being replaceable, a career 36% three-point shooter, a huge letdown after 9 seasons, now taking his talents to Greece. The 8th pick, the one projected to have the longer career than all the guys selected above him, Caldwell-Pop lived up to his expectations. A championship caliber role player, solid 3-and-D, under contract, and a player option for 2025. If he balls out, can simply opt out and demand another solid deal. The only lottery pick who's been relatively healthy, never missed more than 8 games in any of his first 10 seasons. In fact, he's played the most games of anybody his class at 759, more than 2 full seasons than his lottery mate second place Alex Len. Underrated durability for the 30-year-old, effortless range, always a bucket with the Pistons, but having no superstar teammates, played on some bad teams, signed with the Lakers, was just decent, but proven himself as a vital piece for the 2020 title team. Balled out versus Miami, scored 15, 16, and 17 points last 3 games in the bubble. His ceiling not as high as his draft mates, but easily the most successful career, 2 titles already, the type of player always in the mix for a contender. Shot the lights out 2023 versus his former team, should still be an impactful player next 4 to 5 years. Trey Burke, the 6-footer, bucket getter out of Michigan, last played 2022 for Dallas. 5 different teams, can occasionally go off unexpectedly. One of those guys who's way too good in the G League, would average 40 a game in China, but super undersized, defensive liability, similar to a Jimmer Fredette type player, but without the ego. A score first guy, also not an elite distributor, 41% shooting for his career, just 50% true shooting. Won't get any respect from the analytics crowd, but absolutely a true hooper who gets the respect from all his peers. Not fast or athletic, more like a poor man's Kemba. Can create his own shot as an ISO guy, balled out with the Stockton Kings, might still get another opportunity. Recently dropped a casual 53 in a Pro-Am game. Burke turns 31 November, the type of guy new generations of fans won't know about, but many ballers will tell you story how he used to cook them. CJ McCollum ended up being the best lottery pick, never became an all-star in the West, but a 20-plus point scorer as the second option for a playoff team several years in Portland. Wasn't picked higher, playing in a mid-major, 8 straight seasons averaging above 20 after barely playing his first 2 years. One of the mid-range kings, underappreciated during his time with the Blazers, doesn't get enough credit for leading that team to the conference finals. Would have been the series MVP 2019 semis, beating tough Denver, 60 minutes played Game 3, 41 points, dropped 30 and 37 respectively, coming back down 3-2 with Dame Lillard struggle in Game 7. Will likely be remembered as one of the best players to never make the All-Star team. The soon-to-be 32-year-old, elite offensive talent, strictly gets buckets. Portland traded him for 60 cents on the dollar, only to get a lot worse, forcing Dame to demand a trade. Paid well under contract till 2026. Likely go down as the 3rd best player for this draft. Pick number 11, the famous Rookie of the Year winner Michael Carter-Williams captured the award his very first career game. The starting point guard on the tanking Sixers did whatever he wanted with the ball in his hands, averaged 17, 6 and 6, 2 steals, but never able to shoot. Outstanding on a bad team when allowed to be the guy, but when opponents figured him out quickly, not adding anything to his game, lost all confidence, misses a bunch of layups. Truly exposed when traded to the Bucks after being benched for Jared Bayless, plus a multitude of injuries didn't do him any favors. Many convinced he'd be out the league after 2017 with the Bulls. Became a deep in the bench guy with Charlotte, Houston, and Orlando. The Magic giving him 4 chances before the team declined his option for 2024, just 108 games played each of the last 5 possible seasons, his body breaking down even more, competes very hard on defense, good locker room guy for a young team, kept him in the league longer than expected, but this could very well be the very end of his NBA career, turns 32 in October. Steven Adams, a year out of Pitt, just turned 30 years young. A 9-8 guy, terrific role player and teammate, big body, one of the best offensive rebounders, a player any team would want to have, cares more about team success than stats. Memphis couldn't get out the first round without him, one of the best intangible players without a true skill set, an absolute steal for a 12 pick, under contract till 2025, the type of guy to stick around the league longer than most players due to his presence and positivity. 13th pick, Kelly Olynyk, another solid role player, excellent for his draft spot, career 10-5 guy, came off having his best season with Utah, good rotational player on a playoff team, a 26-point Game 7 masterpiece versus Washington 2017 semis, even had a 24.9 rebound Game 2 in the bubble finals, when hot, capable of hitting any shots from all angles, occasionally goes off for 20 plus points once every 5 games, a prototypical stretch 5, would go anywhere between 6 to 9 in the draft redo. 14 pick, Shabazz, who lied about his age, Muhammad, the second shortest career of the lottery behind Bennett, 5 seasons, empty stats for Minnesota, selfish character, only had a left hand, couldn't shoot or pass, averaged half an assist for his career, basically a power forward in the shooting guard's body. Now with the Guangdong Tigers, his time in China about to be as long as playing in the NBA, out the league after the 2018 playoffs. Of course, following pick, Giannis. Nobody could have predicted his rise to all-time great status. Other solid picks includes Dennis Schroeder at 17, decent role player, Mason Plumlee 22, Tim Hardaway Jr. 24, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert at 27, no second round steals, an overall weak draft with some of the better players scattered late first, 3 total All-Stars, 1 guaranteed Hall of Famer in Giannis, and Gobert a Hall of Fame toss-up, with nobody else even close. The 2nd and 6th picks all have a year left in their contracts, all could possibly be out the league after 2024, especially if Oladipo and Porter Jr.'s body can't hold up, while Zeller, Lin, and Noel just not very talented, all finished products as backup centers. Ben McLemore out since 2022, same with Trey Burke, only 2 top 10 picks will have guaranteed contracts in the league after 2024, KCP and CJ McCollum. MCW given many chances with the Magic, a 50-50 chance another team signs him. Steven Adams and Kelly Olynyk, both likely still in the NBA the next 4 to 6 years. Many of the lottery picks could have easily been out the league years ago, with late first round steals. Only one franchise superstar capable of leading his team to a title. Undrafted Seth Curry would have been a top 10 pick in a redo. Matthew Dellavedova made his presence felt in the 2015 finals, and Robert Covington, a hidden gem from the Hinkie Sixers, ended up better than at least 7 players who went in the top 10. Thank you so much for watching this video. Your thoughts on the 2013 draft? Which player disappointed you most this draft? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.